Hi everyone. There's a silent killer that doesn't make noise when it enters your life. It doesn't announce itself with thunder or flames. It just sits there, slowly, quietly, like a fog creeping in at dawn. And that killer is laziness. Most people don't even recognize its arrival, because it comes disguised as comfort, as peace, as rest. But what it really is a thief of dreams, of purpose, of life itself. We're told, take it easy, don't be too hard on yourself, and there's always tomorrow. But tomorrow is not promised, and laziness takes that uncertainty and multiplies it. It turns minutes into hours, hours into years, and one day you'll look back and wonder how you got so far from where you were meant to be. Laziness doesn't ruin your life all at once. It eats away at it, slowly, like rust on iron, like rot in wood. Some of us are not broken. We're just inactive, not defeated, just disconnected. There's nothing wrong with your spirit, your intelligence, your soul, but laziness has wrapped itself around your potential like a thick blanket, and the longer you stay under it, the harder it becomes to get out. You were made for movement. You were made to build, to grow, to live with fire in your eyes and thunder in your step. But laziness extinguishes that fire. It dampens the thunder. It replaces passion with passivity. You become a passenger in your own life, watching time pass by like scenery outside a train window. Laziness is not peace. It's a quiet destroyer. It doesn't shout. It doesn't slam the door open or wake you up in the middle of the night. It tiptoes into your life when you're least aware, wearing the mask of comfort. It tells you to relax a little longer, to wait a little more, to do it tomorrow. It makes you believe that stillness is healing, even when that stillness is slowly becoming a cage. And you believe it. Because who doesn't want peace? Who doesn't want calm and softness in a world full of noise? But there's a difference between true rest and the kind of fake peace that laziness offers. One restores you, the other reduces you. The danger of laziness is that it feels good in the moment. It feels like self-care, like kindness to yourself. It feels like finally giving yourself a break. But what you don't realize is that it begins stealing from you the moment you say yes to it. It steals your energy first, then it steals your time, then your discipline, your courage, your ambition, and finally it comes for your identity. You forget who you used to be, the one with fire in their eyes, with hunger in their chest. You used to dream big. You used to feel unstoppable. But then laziness came in, disguised as rest, and slowly erased that version of you. And the worst part, it doesn't destroy you with one big explosion. No, it destroys you slowly, quietly, bit by bit. One unmade bed, one skipped task, one postponed decision, one more hour of scrolling, until one day you look around and don't recognize the person you've become. You're not broken. You're not hopeless. You're just stuck. And that's what laziness does best. It sticks you in place and convinces you that this is where you belong. People often say, I'm just tired. And yes, you might be. But there's a kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. A kind of tired that comes from unfulfilled purpose. From dreams you keep postponing. From goals you know are within reach. But you just don't stretch far enough. Laziness doesn't let you stretch. It convinces you that staying small is safer, that sitting still is smarter, that movement is risky, but movement is the only way forward. You can't think your way out of laziness. You have to act your way out. Laziness offers you a deal. It says stay comfortable, and I'll take care of the rest. But what it doesn't tell you is that the rest includes your progress, your growth, your joy, your fulfillment. It doesn't want you to chase anything. It wants you to settle, to shrink, to give in. And many people do. Not because they're weak, but because laziness is that convincing, that gentle, that quiet. It makes you feel like choosing it is choosing safety. But the truth is, every time you choose laziness, you're choosing to let something beautiful inside you die. If you don't fight it, it wins. It doesn't need much to gain control. Just one excuse. Just one compromise, just one maybe tomorrow. And once it takes hold, it becomes harder and harder to break free. It becomes your habit, your rhythm, your default setting, and it convinces you that you've always been this way, that you've never been the type to finish strong. But that's not true. You were not born lazy. Life might have bruised you, circumstances might have made you tired, but inside you is still the fire, still the vision, still the capacity to rise. Laziness robs you of the life you were destined to live. It doesn't take everything at once, and that's what makes it so dangerous. It takes it slowly, day by day, piece by piece. It starts with your mornings, then your plans, then your energy, and eventually it creeps into your dreams. What once made you excited becomes a distant thought. What once felt urgent now feels optional. The version of you that had vision, drive, passion, and a plan begins to fade, not because you weren't capable, but because you allowed stillness to settle where motion was needed. This isn't about being busy for the sake of being busy. It's not about running on a treadmill of meaningless productivity. It's about living with intention, about knowing there's something within you that's meant to be expressed, something unique that the world needs. Laziness convinces you that this can wait, that your purpose can sit in the corner while you numb yourself with distractions. It wraps itself in comfort, in ease, in justification, and before you know it, you've built a life around excuses instead of experiences. There's a cost to every decision you make, including the decision to do nothing. Every time you choose not to show up, you lose a moment you'll never get back, and those moments matter. They add up. Over time, they form the structure of your life, a life that could have been extraordinary, meaningful, deeply fulfilling, but instead feels small, stalled, and unremarkable. Not because you didn't dream big, but because you didn't move toward those dreams. You weren't created to live in a cycle of endless waiting. You weren't designed to merely survive. There is a calling on your life, whether or not you recognize it yet, and laziness blinds you from seeing it. It makes you believe you have time, that opportunities will wait for you, that passion will last forever. But the truth is, everything has an expiration date. Your strength, your windows of opportunity, even your desire. If you don't act when the fire is hot, you may never get it back. So many people end up living lives they don't love, not because they made the wrong choices, but because they made no choices at all. They drift, they react, they exist, and deep down they know something is missing. That ache, that restlessness, that quiet dissatisfaction, that's not weakness. That's your soul crying out for movement, for meaning, for direction. But laziness dulls that voice. It makes you ignore the inner scream that says, you were meant for more. You'll never know what could have been, unless you push past the comfort of what is. You'll never write the story of your life while watching someone else's through a screen. The life you were destined to live isn't found in passive hope. It's carved through effort, decision, courage, and persistence. You have something powerful inside you, but it needs to be awakened. It needs to be fought for. Laziness won't hand it to you. It will hide it. It will bury it. It will do everything it can to convince you that you're fine where you are. But fine isn't the goal. Fulfilled is, alive is, free is. You were not meant to settle into routine and call it a life. You were meant to grow, to create, to stretch beyond what's comfortable. You were meant to inspire, to overcome, to build something that outlives you. Laziness offers you the illusion of peace, but in exchange it quietly steals your potential. And if you're not careful, one day you'll wake up in a life that feels unfamiliar, not because the world changed, but because you stopped moving. Every small action chips away at the wall of stagnation. People often believe that massive changes are the only way to break free from laziness, as if only bold, sweeping gestures count. But the truth is, it's not the big leaps that make the difference. It's the quiet, consistent steps. The tiniest push forward holds more power than the grandest plan that never leaves your mind. Small actions may seem insignificant in the moment, but they are the sharpest tools against the thick walls of inertia. Every time you take a small step, wake up on time, read one page, stretch for 5 minutes, Speak one sentence of truth. You are sending a message to your mind that you're not stuck, that you're still alive, that something is moving. Stagnation doesn't come from a single day of rest. It comes from a pattern of stillness. It grows slowly, like moss on a stone that never rolls. You might not feel it immediately, but eventually you notice it, that heaviness in your chest, that dullness in your spirit, that strange sense of watching life pass by while you stay in one place. And the longer you stay there, the thicker the wall gets, the harder it becomes to break through. That's why small actions matter so much, because each one is a crack in that wall. Each one lets a little light in. Each one weakens the lie that you can't move forward. You don't need a massive wave to start a shift. You need a ripple, and that ripple begins with a choice: to try, to show up, to do one thing, just one. That's all it takes to interrupt the pattern. And once the pattern is broken, even for a moment, change becomes possible. It's like tapping on a locked door. With each tap, you're closer to breaking it open. The mistake most people make is waiting until they feel strong enough to break the whole wall in one hit. But strength grows with motion, confidence grows with proof, and proof only comes when you act. You are not weak because you can't run a mile today. You're powerful because you're willing to walk for 5 minutes. You're not behind because you haven't written the whole book. You're growing because you opened the document. You're not lost because you haven't figured it all out. You're awakening because you asked the question. It's not about arriving at the top. It's about facing the right direction and putting one foot in front of the other. And the beauty is, every single step you take, no matter how small, counts. Nothing is wasted. Not a single act of effort is meaningless. It's easy to dismiss the small things because they don't offer instant results. But change rarely announces itself. It happens in the shadows of discipline, in the background of ordinary days, when no one is watching, and you do the hard thing anyway. It happens when you choose to keep going instead of giving up, when you choose to take the stairs instead of the elevator, when you choose to write one sentence instead of none. These moments build your foundation. They shape your story. They teach your brain that you're not powerless. Momentum is built through motion, not through motivation. Action creates energy. The more you move, the more you want to keep moving. And each small action builds trust. You start to believe in your ability to change your own life. You stop waiting for someone to save you. You realize you've always had the power. You just needed to use it. The wall of stagnation doesn't crumble with one blow. It falls, piece by piece, with every small choice to rise. Passion needs fuel, and that fuel is movement. You can have all the dreams in the world, all the fire in your heart, all the desire to do something meaningful, but if you don't move, that passion burns out, not with a bang, but with a quiet flicker, like a candle running out of oxygen, not because there's no flame, but because there's no air. Passion alone is never enough. It needs action. It needs effort. It needs momentum. Without movement, passion becomes a fantasy, a beautiful idea that never becomes reality. There are so many people walking around with untapped brilliance inside them. So many hearts full of vision, full of creativity, full of purpose, but they're waiting for the right time, the perfect plan, the guarantee of success. And while they wait, the passion that once kept them awake at night begins to fade, because passion cannot survive in stillness. It cannot grow in hesitation. It cannot stay alive when the body stays idle and the mind keeps postponing. Movement doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. It has to be consistent. It has to be honest. Sometimes we think we've lost our passion, but what we've actually lost is motion. We've stopped engaging. We've stopped showing up. We've stopped trying. And the more still we become, the further we drift from that original spark. Passion is not a constant flame. It's something you have to feed. It's something you have to protect. And the way you feed it is by working for it, by building for it, by saying, even if I'm scared, even if I'm unsure, I'm still going to take the next step. Because when you move, you stir the fire, you fan the flame, you remind yourself of what's possible. No one ever built a dream while sitting still. No one ever made a difference while waiting for ideal conditions. Every great story began with motion, with a step, a decision, a bold choice. It wasn't the perfect moment. It was simply the first asterisk moment. And that's what fuels passion more than anything. The courage to begin, to create without guarantees, to act without applause, to pursue without certainty. Movement is what breathes life back into passion. When it feels like it's dying, it reconnects you with your purpose. It reminds you why you started. Even on the days when passion feels low, movement still matters, especially on those days, because motion creates emotion. The act of doing something, anything, reignites the feelings you thought were gone. The body has a way of waking up the soul. And once you start moving, even in the smallest ways, the energy returns. Passion isn't always about fireworks. Sometimes it's about simply showing up, tired, unsure, unmotivated, and doing the work anyway. That's how the fire gets its oxygen back. That's how the flame survives. Don't wait to feel passionate before you act. Act first, and the passion will follow. The more you move, the clearer your vision becomes. The more you move, the louder your inner voice gets. The more you move, the more you believe in yourself again. Passion is not something you find. It's something you choose. And that choice has to be renewed every single day. Through action, through movement, through effort. You were not created to stay still. You were built for momentum, for impact, for creation. And your passion will not thrive in a life of hesitation and delay. It will only thrive in a life that moves. Self-discipline is the antidote to the poison of delay. It's not loud or dramatic. It doesn't come with applause. It's quiet, firm, and sometimes painfully boring. But it is the only force strong enough to fight against the pull of procrastination. Laziness thrives in the absence of structure. It grows in the cracks between your intentions and your actions. That's where discipline steps in, as the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is the choice to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one else is watching. People often wait for motivation to strike, but motivation is unreliable. It's a guest, not a resident. Some days it visits. Most days it doesn't. But discipline doesn't wait to be inspired. It shows up on good days and bad. It shows up when the sky is clear and when the storm is raging. Discipline is the friend who knocks on your door at 5 a.m. and says, "Let's go," while motivation is the one who cancels plans last minute. If you want to win against delay, you can't rely on fleeting feelings. You need unshakable habits. You need the will to show up, even if your hands are trembling and your mind is tired. Every time you delay something, you're strengthening the habit of avoidance. The more you avoid, the easier it becomes to keep avoiding. Your brain starts believing that discomfort is something to run from, but self-discipline rewires that. It teaches your mind that discomfort is not danger, that showing up is safe, that progress lives on the other side of resistance. Discipline isn't about punishment, it's about respect. Respect for your future self, respect for your dreams, respect for the time you've been given. There will always be temptations. There will always be easier choices. The bed will always feel warmer. The scroll will always feel more entertaining. The distraction will always be just one tap away. But none of those things move your life forward. None of them take you closer to your goals. They only keep you comfortable while time slips through your fingers. Self-discipline is the muscle that pulls you out of that trap. It doesn't always feel good. It often feels like resistance. But resistance is where growth happens. People think discipline is about being harsh or robotic. But the truth is, it's one of the kindest things you can give yourself. When you practice discipline, you're telling yourself that your dreams are worth effort, that your time is valuable, that your life is meaningful enough to live it with intention. You're not punishing yourself. You're investing in yourself. You're choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. You're choosing fulfillment over fleeting satisfaction. There's no secret formula, no magical schedule, just decisions. Small ones, repeated daily. Wake up when you said you would. Do what you said you'd do. Keep the promises you make to yourself. That's how you build trust with yourself. And when you trust yourself, laziness loses its grip. Delay loses its power. You stop negotiating with your excuses and start living from your values. That's what discipline does. It anchors you. It grounds you when life tries to pull you in every direction. The hardest part is the beginning. Starting, pushing through those first moments of resistance. But once you do, momentum begins to build. And discipline, once practiced, becomes easier. It becomes a part of your identity. Not something you force, but something you live. And the more you live it, the less room there is for delay. You no longer ask, should I? You just do. You no longer look for the perfect time. You create it. Because that's what self-discipline is, the quiet decision to keep going when everything else tells you to wait. The body rests, but the soul was made to move. Rest is necessary, no doubt. The body needs it. The mind needs it. Sleep heals, recovery matters. But there's a kind of rest that turns into retreat, a kind of stillness that slowly turns into decay. That's when the soul begins to ache. Not because it needs more sleep, but because it's not fulfilling its purpose. The soul was never designed for a life of idleness. It was meant to create, to build, to explore, to give, to serve. It thrives in motion. It finds meaning in progress. It is alive only when it is growing. And that growth cannot happen while staying in one place. There's a difference between being tired and being uninspired. And yet so many people confuse the two. They feel exhausted, not because they've done too much, but because they've done too little of what feeds their spirit. A stagnant life is a heavy life. It weighs on you in invisible ways. You wake up feeling tired even after 8 hours of sleep. You feel restless without knowing why. You feel a strange emptiness even though nothing seems wrong. That's the soul knocking, asking for movement, asking for purpose, asking to be used, to be stretched, to be challenged. Comfort is seductive. It lulls you into believing you're safe, that this is enough, that you don't need to try harder or reach further. But the soul knows better. It keeps whispering to you through dissatisfaction, through longing, through boredom. It nudges you with ideas, with dreams, with what-ifs. And if you ignore those whispers long enough, they turn into screams. That's when you feel lost. That's when everything feels meaningless. Not because you're broken, but because your soul is begging you to get up and move. Movement doesn't mean chaos. It doesn't mean running a race with no direction. It means doing what you were made to do. It means engaging with the world around you. It means learning, trying, helping, growing. Whether that means creating art, building a business, raising children, serving your community, or simply becoming better than you were yesterday. The soul doesn't demand perfection. It demands engagement. It demands action. You were never meant to live a life of numb repetition. That's not living. That's surviving. And survival is not enough. You were made for more than just existing. You were made to contribute something, to become something, to rise, not just once, but again and again and again. The soul was designed for resilience. It bends, but it doesn't break. It waits, but it never gives up hope. But hope needs direction, and direction needs steps. Even the smallest movement can reignite a soul that's been quiet for too long. There's a kind of joy that only comes from effort, the satisfaction of finishing something, the pride in showing up for yourself, the quiet confidence of knowing you did what needed to be done, even when it wasn't easy. That joy is what keeps the soul alive. It feeds on discipline, on creation, on progress. The more you give it, the more alive you feel. And the less you move, the more disconnected you become. From your goals, from your purpose, from yourself. This world will tell you to take it slow, to be kind to yourself, to not push too hard. And while there's wisdom in that, there's also danger. Because if you don't push at all, you start to wither. The body might be healthy, the mind might be calm, but the soul begins to shrink. And you can feel it, that sense of something missing, that ache that no amount of sleep or relaxation can heal. That's the call to move, not recklessly, but deliberately, with intention, with vision, with the quiet courage to step forward. The cost of inaction is invisible until it's too late. We often think that doing nothing is neutral, that staying where we are doesn't really change much. But that's the biggest illusion. Doing nothing is never neutral. It always has a price. The problem is that price doesn't show up instantly. It accumulates. It builds in silence, like dust in the corners of a forgotten room. You don't notice it at first. Life still feels fine. Things still seem manageable. But what you don't see is what you're slowly losing. Opportunities, strength, time, trust in yourself. And when the weight of all that lost potential finally hits, it hits hard. Inaction doesn't feel like a decision, but it is. Every time you say, "I'll deal with it later," you're actually making a choice. The choice to delay growth, to pause progress, to leave your future self with more mess to clean up. It's like seeing a small leak and ignoring it because the floor isn't wet yet. But the leak doesn't stop just because you looked away. It keeps dripping, slowly, quietly, until one day the damage is beyond repair. That's what inaction does. It starts as a tiny delay and ends as a disaster you never saw coming. People don't fail because they tried and lost. Most people fail because they never even started, and those who once started but stopped, they failed because they didn't fight through the silence of inaction. The hardest battles are not the loud ones. They are the quiet ones, the ones inside your head, where no one is cheering and no one is watching. The days when motivation is nowhere to be found, and all you have is your own decision to either move or stay still. And every day you stay still, you drift a little further from who you could have been. You might not feel the pain of inaction immediately, but it finds a way to show up. It shows up in the job you didn't get because you never applied, in the relationship that faded because you never spoke up, in the business that stayed a dream because you never took the first risk, in the body that's tired because you never moved it, in the confidence that crumbled because you never trusted yourself enough to try. The pain of inaction is quiet, but it is relentless, and it always shows up when regret begins to speak. People often say, "I'm not ready," and use it as an excuse to wait. But readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. You become ready when you begin, not before. The longer you wait for some magical feeling of readiness, the more you delay the life you're supposed to live. And life doesn't wait. Time doesn't pause. The world moves forward whether you move with it or not. Inaction doesn't freeze the world, it just leaves you behind. There's a kind of guilt that comes from inaction that's different from the guilt of mistakes. When you mess up, you learn. When you try and fail, you grow. But when you do nothing, you carry a different kind of weight. The weight of what if? What if I had tried? What if I had said yes? What if I had just started? That kind of regret is heavy. It doesn't teach, it just haunts, because you'll never know what could have been. You'll only feel the emptiness of what never was. Sometimes people around you won't notice that you're stuck. They'll think you're fine because you're smiling, showing up, going through the motions, but deep down you know. You know that you're meant for more. You feel it every time you silence your inner voice that begs you to move. And every time you ignore it, you build a wall between you and your purpose. Inaction builds that wall brick by brick, made of fear, doubt, and delay, until one day you can't even see what's on the other side anymore.